Forgot what I was gonna say. We just washed the cars. They look good. They look good. Used a little bit of Mother's M-Tech, which is a spray-on wax. It doesn't feel like anything. So today I'm going to show you what I did with my radio. Let's just wave bye to Lucas. I told you you'd still be seeing that car. A couple updates. This video is about the radio on the BMW. What you have to do to get around the amplifier, because the amplifier is the weakest link, and then the head unit also didn't work. So there's that, and my drone. I haven't even had a chance to use it. Okay, so brother and I got the drone together, and he's gonna take the Hero 4. I was gonna use the Hero 5 with the drone, but the harness adapter, which goes into the Steadicam, which then goes into the drone, does not come with the Hero 4 drone, and the Hero 5 drone hasn't been released. Well, yesterday, GoPro recalled the drone for random power malfunctions, causing it to just drop out of the sky. No drones falling yet, but if it happens to them, it could happen to you or me. And it's $150 for insurance for 2 years, which is a must for a drone kit that costs well around $1,000. The drones are $800 on their own. But anyways, I go over the whole details and benefits of getting the kit on my review video for the Karma drone. So, but I'm sad I didn't get to use it at all, and it's getting recalled, which is, you know, it's fine. I was just going to wait till the end of November to get that harness. And concerning the radio, as of now, I've spent maybe 24 hours in total on getting this. It's not even put back together, but I got it to work. So, okay, here's the process. I started out by putting in a new head unit. A quick explanation of the adapter for the E34. It's the Metra 70-8591. I paid twice that price locally, but this is your online price. Essentially, what it's going to come with is the big adapter here. Ooh, very cool. And it's going to have 4 of the RCA pre-outs. You're going to have a connection for power, a constant 12 volt, a ground, and a power antenna here. When you get this kit, it will include, oh, I don't want to close that. This will come with another option, which will be all of the wires will be filled up here in the connector, and you will have the gray, white, purple, and green wires separate instead of just RCA pre-outs, which is good if you have a radio that requires it to be wired that way. The problem is that this is not going to work very well given the engineering design of the BMW. Either they were drunk or they're geniuses, but the power coming out of the radio is low current, and what that does is just basically provide a signal to the amplifier, and the amplifier then supplies power to the speakers and amplifies that signal. It's called a passive system, a shared ground system. There's a lot of technical terms, and I'll just save you guys all the research and trouble and just tell you that this will not work. Now, what you can try if you have a really good amplifier, you know, a good factory one, and I think the 94, 95s were good, or at least the 95s were, is that you can take the negatives of these, which would be either the outside of the RCAs, or if you have all the wires here, just connect all the negatives together, connect them with the ground, and then they will be a shared ground, sending a low, that basically defaults your amplified aftermarket radios, because they have their own built-in amplifiers, you know, 50 watts by 4 channels or whatever it may be, and they are all going to send low signal to the factory amplifier instead of fighting with it. Cool. So that was my headache, because I did this, I turned up the volume all the way and it wasn't working. And then I did the shared ground method, which I will explain here, and it still didn't work. I turned up the volume all the way and it sounded about halfway. I switched to a different amp that I had, which was a known good replacement, a little bunny ear quotations, and that one didn't work more than, it was noticeably better, but still nothing compared to what it could be. I had no bass, no response from the speakers outside of really bad quality. And the capacitors in there, the solder joints, whatever it might be, those amps are junk after 20 years. So the route I went is to redo the entire system, a nice head unit, using the existing speaker wires and putting in an aftermarket amplifier to run all 4 channels for the front, rear, left, and right. And then I did a lot of research as to why the volume only goes about half volume at full on the radio. So I was like, this is really quiet. Turns out it's a shared ground system. Shared ground systems mean that it is a low signal going to an amplifier instead of the full, 50 watts per channel, 4-channel head units that you get aftermarket. And so that goes to the amplifier then goes to the speakers. So what's the solution? A full redoing of the wiring from the head unit to the amplifier in the rear, bypassing the amplifier with something aftermarket, and then using the existing wiring that goes from the amplifier to the speakers. Lots of resources out there on wiring diagrams, which have been very helpful. So,
2 megabytes of RAM. Sounded defeated.
Yeah, I do sound very defeated, but I am gonna agree with everybody else who said that the amplifiers are the real shortfall on these designs, and this isn't gonna get much better. Here's the ground going to the radio ground that goes to the chassis, and then that goes over to the 4 outputs. So the RCA grounds are bypassed. We're just getting positives through there. And I didn't want to cut, but that's what we had to do. And I think, oh yeah, we had 2 amplifiers. The one that was on here a few minutes ago was really terrible, and we switched it with a known good one. On the Tourings, the wagons, it's on the left side. In the back there's a cover. So it's good enough for now. I'll just listen to myself talk in the radio, because that's where I work now. Wow, that's a whole lot of nothing.
So much space for activities.
The fuse on the original BMW radio, being a passive system, so it doesn't actually power the speakers, it really just sends the basic signal, and then all the power is going to go through the amp. 5 amp fuse, that's how much this is. This guy's a 15 amp fuse, so he can actually put a little bit of power through to those speakers. Not very cooperative with the amp, but it's one of those things where you have to spend a lot of money and replace everything, or experiment with 20-year-old parts and see what's failing and what wiring combination works best for you. Anyways, it's been an education. I hope I never have to go through it again. Okay, I want to catch you guys up on what all this mess is here. What have I got myself into? I know. Basically, I'm wiring all of the speakers to bypass the factory amplifier and to go into a 4-channel for the speakers, front and rear, left to right, and then another 2-channel amp, which is back here in that mess, which is going to power a subwoofer, which I will hide in there. Brilliant, I know. So the first thing I did was spend about 3 hours pulling everything apart and then routing my RCA cables. There's 3 of them there. You can see, oops. Pause. Okay, you can see that I've got the back seat out, and that makes our job a lot easier knowing that the battery is here. You don't have to run wires through the firewall. The biggest expenditure is just getting 3 RCA cables to the front of the head unit. Now the tricky part is going to be pulling everything apart because it takes so much time to tuck every wire and make a clean installation. Right here, underneath the C-pillar, you've got a big cushion that literally just pries out. You can see how this cushion pries out. It's got a bar here, here, and then at the top is a big clip that is going to fit into there, right there, where the seatbelt covers it. Okay, and if you look underneath here, you will find all of these speaker wires that are going to the amplifier from the head unit. Now I'm bypassing all of those, so basically they're going to end at the plug, which is the input for the old amplifier, and I'm going to cut and splice the output of the amplifier to the respective speakers. You can see up on the ceiling, there's our woofer and the little tweeter that's hanging down. I'm going to see what the ohm rating is for each one, and that'll determine whether I wire them in series or parallel. With this diagram and a little pick, something to push out with, you can actually push out the wires that will go to the respective channel, and basically by confirming that which speaker gets which wire, you're able to just wire them up in here using the soldered pins because they slide quite nicely into the amplifier. Pretty simple.
The big question now is, do I wire the tweeters and the mid-range speakers, which are either going to be, you know, their own resistances, so I want to make sure I don't overload the amp. You can have too high of a resistance and be safe. You won't have too much power coming out, but you don't want too low of a resistance because that will warm up your amp and possibly burn something out.
It's kind of a mess, but you get the idea. So as of this morning, the radio works. I've got a good bass, strong signals going from all the RCA. There's 3 RCA cables coming out of the head unit, and the California amp, that white one, not very good. It's old. It's probably going on 15 years, maybe even more. Not sure because there's no information on the internet concerning that. The subwoofer is a bazooka, which delivers surprisingly good results for being a 10-inch little ported tube, which is cool. I like the bazooka a lot, and I actually got that when I sold my 242 and traded for a Honda, which had that whole setup in there. There's a little bit of interference noise. You want to make sure that you route your battery cables away from the RCA cables. There are 2 spots where they get kind of close and they cross, and wow, what's going on with my hair? And those are going to cause a little bit of radio interference. When you accelerate the vehicle, you'll hear a whine in the background. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And of course, the amplifier has some grounding issues that aren't dangerous or scary. They're more of just whining sounds, and I'm not crazy about that either. So everything's in, everything works, and I need to put my interior back together. But more importantly, it's time to go to work. Thanks for watching. Hope this video was helpful, and I hope I've got my keys here. Oh yeah, did you see that Trump's president now? Well, he will be in January. So to that, all I have to say is, all hail President Pence. Oh boy.